so excited about bringing on my next guest. He is a newbie with me. We are live on Facebook, so I do want to say hi to everybody out there. Like us and follow us. I have with me Joshua Smith, and he is the owner of Elite Retirement Solutions. Welcome to the show. I'm excited about having you here. I want you first to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do and why it's so important to you.
Totally, absolutely, Carol. Thank you for having me on the show. It's an honor to be here with you today.
Thank you.
We have been listening to your show for a while, but okay. So anyway, a little bit about me. My family and I just moved over here from Georgia, and we started a business back there. It was very successful. Wanted to get close to a mentor, so we moved out to Scottsdale, and it's a beautiful part of the country. But anyway. A little bit about what I do is I help people with retirement, and that's so important because my parents, I wasn't born into a rich family. They weren't poor either, but when growing up, they never set aside a lot of money for retirement. That was never a primary concern, and that's totally fine. That's what they chose. But seeing that pressure put on family, they're going to have to work through their retirement years. So now it's my goal to help people set their retirement plan up and through different avenues through non-traditional, I would say, avenues.
I think that's wonderful. How old are you?
I was graduated in 2015.
So it's really cool because I think what you saw, I think a lot of people today are very concerned, right?
Sure.
It's very important to them. So for the listeners, tell them why it's so important for them to listen to what they're hearing right here. And what I love about my show the most is all the information that people get here, and why it's so important for them to listen to what they're hearing and get their ducks in a row.
Absolutely, for sure. So we have, I guess you could call myself to answer that specifically, it's never a good thing to lose money, right? And so when you put
I hate that when that happens.
it's obviously nobody does. Nobody likes that. So what we focus on is helping people. Most financial advisors are very good at accumulating assets, but during the first 5 years leading up to your retirement age, and then the 5 years after, if there's a huge market loss, say like 2000, 2007, then that can make or break, have devastating results to a retirement account.
It's interesting because you have a word here that I wasn't even sure how to say it when I was looking at it. Once you said it, I was like, oh, okay. Decumulation. You are a decumulation expert.
That is correct.
Wow. So that's the difference between, let's say, a retirement planner or financial planner and a decumulation expert.
That's correct.
Okay, so what is that?
A great question. So, like I had said before, financial planners, I'm very similar to a retirement planner. They focus on accumulating assets, of which they're very good at. I'm not knocking financial planners, advisors, whatever. But let's use an analogy of climbing up Mount Everest. Mount Everest, you're climbing up the mountain. Have you ever seen the movie Everest?
No, but I know it's hard to do.
Okay, exactly. So believe it or not, it's easier to go up the mountain than coming down the mountain. And the reason for that is because you have a lot of depending on the time that you get to the top of the mountain, you have, shall we say, the jet stream. You have storms that come and they circle the mountain. And when you're in the jet stream coming down the mountain, if you make it up to the top of the Mount Everest early, then you're fine. But coming down the mountain, if you're slow, the storm circles around and hits you, and that's where the death and the freezing temperatures can come in within minutes. And it's just all the fatalities and injuries that happen, they happen on the downward side.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the difference between a financial accumulator, who's most financial planners, they're very good at accumulating assets, throw that in the S&P, whatever it is. They accumulate those assets, but coming down the mountain is going to be completely different than going up the mountain because the math actually changes in retirement.
Well, so that's why you would want to have a decumulation expert. That's what he is. Now, you work, you said, nationwide. You do free consultations for people?
Absolutely.
His phone number to call is his office number is 520-895-4413. You know, I think it's important for people to have the consultation, right? Find out what you mean, talk it out, find out exactly where they stand, because everybody's gonna have their different story.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And the website, if you wanna check them out, it is Elite, and it's RETSOL.com. So Elite, RET for retirement, and then SOL.com. Now, I also want to ask you another question, which is, how much in taxes do most people have to pay in retirement?
Great question. So we have, let's just for an easy way to explain it, let's say we have a nest egg of $1 million, right? And we've done very well accumulating assets. The biggest part that people don't focus on is required minimum distributions. If you want to keep that, set it aside, age 73, you're going to have to start taking some of that out, which that's just the way it is. So what's going to happen is during that time, it's going to be counted on the year's previous balance. Does that make sense? So, 2024, whatever the balance was last year is what we're going to take out X amount percentage, which is, just to make the math easy for you, it's $1 million, whatever your retirement balance is, last year, divided by 26.5 at year number, age 73. So whatever that is your pre-tax income. And then beyond that, if you're not careful, then having that income come out can trigger you into a higher income bracket, which, I mean, that can be upwards of 25 to 30%. And if you're not careful, whereas it would be 25 to 30% during retirement, whereas if you were to take that out prior to retirement, you wouldn't pay near as much as you would on the total of that retirement income of whatever it is, 100,000, 120.
So how are you going to generate a plan for somebody? How do they know what they're going to have to take out?
Okay, for sure. What we do is we focus first primarily on what your goals are. Say if you were to come and we were to sit down and talk, it would be very
I got $1 million. Tell me what I'm doing.
Okay, so first and foremost, we would set a plan for you to where we want to make sure that you get guaranteed income. And you want to have a nest egg separate of that to where if something happens, you don't have to pull out of that guaranteed income.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you have that nest egg, that's going to make sure that you have a lifestyle account. That's going to make sure you can go on cruises and you can go on take your family wherever you want to go in the world. And then the third thing that we would look at is a legacy that we want to pass on to our family, or the next generation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Again, I think it all comes down to having that consultation. Again, everybody's got a different story.
Absolutely.
And the only way you're going
to
exactly. So the only way you're going to know is by sitting down and having that consultation. If somebody already has a financial, let's say, advisor, do they still have that conversation with you?
Absolutely. You absolutely can. I'm not saying don't leave your financial advisor. Maybe there's things that I offer that they don't offer, they don't know about.
Right.
There's something I was thinking we were going to talk about later, maybe tax-free income.
I was going to ask you that in just a minute. I do want to get this information out, though, because everybody has that. Some people might already, but they're listening to you and think, oh, a decumulation expert. That sounds interesting, right?
Right.
So his number again, office number is 520-895-4413. His website is Elite, RETSOL.com. He does free consultation and he does work nationwide. Let's go right to that. So how do you create tax-free income?
Great question. So we do focus on, there's 3 tax loopholes, and it's completely legal, completely above board. I'm sure a lot of the listeners were thinking of, is that legal? I mean, obviously it is. So we utilize 3 tax codes, section 7207E of the IRS tax codes, and then working with the TEFRA Act and the DEFRA Act, we can make it to where as opposed to earning 7 on a standard portfolio, earning 7 and netting 4 after taxes and fees, you can earn 7 and net 6 in retirement. So it makes a big difference when you're pulling money out of your account as opposed to pulling money out of your account and then risking even then, the money that you have in your portfolio, because it's still tied to the market, because, I mean, it's just tied to the market, as opposed to the products we offer, they're linked to the market to where when the market goes up, you can still capture that market gain, but when the market comes down, you don't risk any of that and you don't lose any of it.
And they're already, like you said, legal, because they're
Absolutely.
written.
Absolutely.
What did you say they were? The one was in the.
It's
what-
section 7702 of the IRS code.
So it's already written, so it is legal to do, and a lot of people don't know about it?
I don't feel like a lot of people know about it. A lot of people are learning, and I mean, they call me up like, "Hey, what is this?" You
Right.
know? And so it's awesome. I get to help them out. It's
And
something
you
I
love what you do?
I absolutely do. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I think what's really neat about what you do too is that, and again, being able to be here, kind of discuss that, and the first time is always the hardest, right?
Right.
And obviously, getting that information out there and wanting to say it the way that you want to, I think nobody wants to pay taxes as much as they can. And
Exactly.
any way that you can is a great way to you know, to find out what you can do. So I would call him and I would have that consultation with him. His phone number is 520-895-4413. You can check him out on his website. It's Elite, RETSOL.com. He does free consultations and he works nationwide. It's all about not having to pay taxes.